Why do people read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, do all the visualizations, and still feel stuck? That's not a rhetorical question. It's a reality that millions face. People are working hard. They're motivated. They're disciplined. They want to grow, improve, break free, and finally live the life they feel deep down they're meant for. And yet, nothing truly shifts. Some changes appear on the surface. Temporary boosts in motivation, short-lived success, moments of clarity. But soon enough, the old patterns return. The anxiety, the self-doubt, the procrastination, the endless loop of almost making it. So what's going on here? Why does real transformation seem to evade people who are actively trying to evolve? Here's the uncomfortable truth. There's a hidden mind code running silently in the background of your consciousness, and unless you fix it first, nothing you build will last. Not because you lack effort, not because you're not good enough, but because this hidden code is stronger than your conscious will. It's like trying to run cutting-edge software on a corrupt operating system. The problem isn't with the app. It's with the core program that's operating in the background. This code is invisible, but it governs everything. Your beliefs, your decisions, your habits, your emotional responses, and most of all, your sense of identity. It acts like a filter, one that decides how much success you'll tolerate, how much love you'll allow, and how much change you're truly willing to experience, even when you say you want it all. It's the mental firewall that blocks you from upgrading. But here's the breakthrough. This code isn't permanent. It's not etched into your DNA. It's not destiny. It's a script built from memories, repetition, and emotional imprints. And anything written can be rewritten. But here's the catch. You can't skip this part. You can't leap into next-level growth without confronting and recoding this foundation first. If you skip it, you'll be stuck in endless cycles, working harder, reading more, meditating longer, only to return to the same self-image, the same fears, and the same limits. This is not just a psychological glitch. It's an energetic pattern, a resonance, a frequency lock. And unless you learn how to expose, override, and rewrite it, nothing sticks. That's what this entire series is for. We're going to map the hidden mind code piece by piece, exposing how it operates, where it hides, and how to reset it from the inside out. Not with hype, not with fluff, but with insight, awareness, and practical tools. Because once you see the system, you can stop being controlled by it. So if you've been wondering why you keep hitting invisible walls, why the same triggers keep showing up, why your intentions never seem to match your results, this is where the answers begin. Next, we start by identifying the invisible saboteur that resets your progress when you're on the brink of change. There's a force within your mind that's responsible for almost every self-improvement failure. It's quiet, it's familiar, and it's so deeply woven into your sense of self that you probably think it is you. This force is not laziness. It's not fear of failure. It's not lack of willpower. It's the internal thermostat known as your self-image setpoint. Let's break this down with absolute clarity. Every person has an internal blueprint, an identity loop that defines what's normal, acceptable, and safe. And here's the twist. Your subconscious is programmed not for growth, but for familiarity. That means anything outside of what you believe is you, even if it's better, is treated as a threat. So when you start working out consistently, landing more opportunities, getting compliments, feeling confident, you think, great, it's working, but your subconscious says, this isn't us. We're not used to this. Let's bring things back to how they were. And it does. Through sabotage, through procrastination, through rational excuses that feel so logical you'll defend them to the end. This is the identity override loop. And unless you change the set point, the loop will always reset your life back to what feels familiar. That's why people can lose weight and gain it back. Why someone can start a business and unconsciously blow up every opportunity. Why relationships end the same way even with different partners. It's not bad luck. It's not fate. It's the mind code at work, pulling you back to its programmed identity no matter what actions you take. Let's go deeper. Your self-image setpoint is created through repetition, emotional imprinting, and internal agreement. It includes all the silent rules you've accepted about who you are. I'm not a leader. I'm always the one who gets overlooked. People like me don't succeed easily. I'm good, but not exceptional. You may not say these things consciously, but your actions, results, and emotional reactions will always reflect them. Why? Because your mind is coded to protect the identity it believes you are. Not the identity you want, the identity you've rehearsed. Now here's the trap. Trying to change your life without changing this self-image creates conflict. A battle between your conscious desires and your unconscious programming. And in that battle, the subconscious always wins because it controls 95% of your behavior. Your habits, your attention, your emotional filters, even your choices. You don't consciously choose sabotage. It emerges from within the identity override loop. And unless you break the loop, the override will reset everything, again and again. So how do you fix it? First, stop chasing behavior change and start observing identity triggers. Ask yourself, who am I being right now? Is this action reinforcing my old identity or building the new one? What feels unsafe about growing into the person I say I want to become? Second, identify your default stories. What narratives do you silently repeat when things go wrong? What emotional patterns feel like home, even if they're painful? That's where your override code lives, in the comfort of the familiar. Third, install conscious contradiction. Begin practicing behaviors, thoughts, and emotions that contradict your old self-image. This isn't about pretending. It's about interrupting the loop. You must do what your current identity says you don't do. Speak up when you normally shrink. Rest when you normally guilt yourself into burnout. Act boldly when your system screams, stay small. The override loop breaks when you consistently act as if the new identity is already real. Not once, not occasionally, consistently, until the brain rewires, until the nervous system adapts, until the override loop starts working for the new identity, not against it. The subconscious mind isn't your enemy. It's just outdated. It's using old data to protect you from perceived danger, even when that danger is just growth. So if you want to stop repeating the same patterns, stop fighting the symptoms. Find the loop, expose the script, and start reconditioning the system to normalize what once felt impossible. That's not a mindset hack. That's neurological freedom. Next, we uncover how emotional moments from early life still secretly dictate your behavior today, even if you don't remember them. There is a myth that time heals everything. But when it comes to the subconscious mind, time doesn't erase. It archives, it encodes, and most importantly, it preserves. The emotional patterns from your earliest years don't disappear with age. They become the blueprint through which your current life is filtered. The problem? Most of it happened before you even had language, before you could explain or rationalize, before your conscious mind was fully online. And yet, that's where some of your deepest programming was installed. This is not just theory. This is how the subconscious system works. By the time you're 7 years old, over 90% of your emotional operating system is already formed. And if you were exposed to unpredictability, fear, emotional neglect, conditional love, or inconsistent validation, your system adapted to survive. Not to thrive, to survive. Let's be very clear. You don't need a traumatic childhood to be programmed with limiting patterns. Sometimes, a single emotional moment can shape an entire internal narrative. A moment where you felt unseen. A moment where you tried to speak your truth and were shut down. A moment where love was withdrawn because you didn't perform. And from that moment, the mind writes a rule. I need to prove myself to be accepted. My feelings are too much. Success equals pressure and disconnection. Now fast forward. You're older. You're trying to grow. You're setting goals. But the emotional rules of childhood still quietly run the system. So when you reach for a higher level of success, the old code kicks in. That means I'll lose connection. If I shine too bright, I'll be rejected. If I succeed, I'll be overwhelmed. You don't hear those thoughts in words. You feel them as hesitation, as procrastination, as emotional static, as confusion or fog at the exact moment clarity is needed. Why? Because the subconscious mind is loyal to emotional safety, not logical growth. And your version of safety was defined during your earliest emotional blueprinting. Let's go even deeper. Every child needs two things: connection and coherence. Connection says, I am loved, seen, and valued. Coherence says, my world makes sense and is emotionally consistent. When either is missing, the child begins compensating. They develop roles, masks, adaptations. I'll be the achiever. I'll be invisible. I'll be the peacekeeper. Each role comes with a cost. Each role becomes a coded layer of the identity. Now, as an adult, you might not even remember choosing these roles, but you live them, and you attract circumstances that reinforce them, not because of destiny, but because your subconscious is seeking emotional congruence, even if that congruence is painful. So here's the question: how do you decode the hidden emotional rules from childhood that are still shaping your present? Step 1. Track the pattern, not the memory. Don't look for dramatic events. Look for emotional repetition. Where in your current life do you keep reliving the same emotional cycle? Constantly proving yourself but never feeling good enough? Feeling responsible for other people's moods? Sabotaging peace because chaos feels more normal? These are echoes, not of who you are, but of what your younger self had to become. Step 2. Stop bypassing the emotion. Most people try to outthink their patterns. You can't, because the original programming didn't happen through thought. It happened through emotion. So the only way to reach the core is to bring presence to the emotional signature itself. Not the story, the felt sense. That discomfort you avoid, that anxiety that arises when you slow down, it's not weakness. It's the locked vault of unresolved safety code. And until you face it with awareness, it continues to direct your life from the shadows. Step 3. Create a safe inner environment. You can't rewire a survival-based mind in a high-pressure environment. You need stillness, presence, and compassion. The younger parts of you are not broken. They're adaptive, but they are not in charge anymore. And unless you remind them of that, they will keep running the show. Now here's the real breakthrough. You don't fix childhood programming through blame. You fix it through awareness. You outgrow it by becoming conscious of the unconscious rules you inherited and deciding, with intention, which ones no longer belong in your system. Growth isn't just about pushing forward. Sometimes it's about going back. To pick up the part of you that got stuck. The moment you do that, the code begins to loosen, and space is made for a new pattern to emerge. Next, we confront something no one wants to admit, that craving more can often repel what you seek most. It sounds counterintuitive, even blasphemous in the world of self-help. But the raw truth is this: sometimes the more desperately you want something, the more you push it away, not because the universe is cruel, not because you're not worthy, but because your energy and your belief are in contradiction. Let's break that down. Desire is powerful. It's the spark that initiates transformation. It shows you what's possible. But when desire is fused with lack, desperation, or fixation, it shifts from inspiration to distortion. It becomes pressure, and pressure repels clarity. Most people are trying to manifest a new reality from a place of energetic contradiction. They say, I want more abundance. But underneath, the frequency is, I'm terrified of not having enough. They say, I want a deep relationship. But the inner broadcast is, I'm scared of being alone forever. That emotional contradiction is what blocks results. Because manifestation isn't based on words. It's based on coherence. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. And when who you are internally conflicts with what you say you want, the system collapses. Let's call this the desire trap. It's when craving overrides clarity. When obsession hijacks receptivity. When the mind grips too tightly on the outcome and cuts off flow. So how do you know if you're in the desire trap? Look for the signs. You're over-researching but underacting. You constantly feel anxious about how it will happen. You become emotionally volatile depending on signs or setbacks. You feel drained instead of energized by your goals. These are not signs of ambition. They are signs of energetic dissonance. So let's break the trap. Step 1. Shift from craving to choosing. Craving implies lack. Choosing implies alignment. One is based on fear, the other on clarity. Start saying, I choose this because it's who I am becoming. Not, I need this so I can finally feel whole. Step 2. Stop watching the pot boil. You plant the seed. You water it with aligned action. Then you let the soil do its job. Micromanaging the outcome suffocates the process. Let the mystery work. Let the timing mature. Step 3. Close the gap between now and then. Stop using your goal as an escape from the present. Start embodying the frequency of your outcome now. If you seek freedom, act in ways that express freedom now. If you want love, treat yourself with the presence and tenderness you expect from another. That emotional match is what creates the resonance field. Desire is not the problem. Attachment is. You must want it fully. And be at peace without it. That paradox is the real alignment. That's where creation becomes effortless. Because the universe responds to your state more than your statement. Most people are trying to build a new life using the emotions of the old one. Fear, scarcity, desperation. Those are not building blocks, they are barriers. They block insight. They block synchronicity. They block receptivity. So the next time you catch yourself squeezing too hard, chasing too fast, or obsessing over a result, pause, step back into the now, and choose again. Choose to trust the intelligence of timing. Choose to feel the outcome emotionally before it's physical. Choose to be the version of yourself that no longer needs to force the process. That's not surrender. That's alignment. Next, we expose how the mind becomes addicted not to success, but to the safety of repeated failure. There's a question most people never think to ask themselves, not because they're unwilling, but because their programming won't allow it. Here it is. Am I emotionally addicted to failure? That sounds harsh, even offensive, but it's not an insult. It's a diagnosis of subconscious loyalty. See, the mind isn't designed to seek success. It's designed to seek safety. And safety, to your subconscious, doesn't mean progress, it means familiarity. This is where most people get trapped without ever realizing it. They think their mind is sabotaging them. They think they're afraid of success. They think they're stuck because they don't know enough. But in truth, they're relapsing into a version of life that feels safe because it's known, even if it's painful. Let's break this down with clarity. Every emotional experience leaves behind an imprint. If you've spent years in environments where you were criticized, doubted, ignored, or forced to perform under pressure, your nervous system adapted to make those conditions feel normal. Not healthy, normal. So when life starts to change, when more abundance shows up, or new possibilities emerge, your system doesn't automatically celebrate. It scans for danger. It says, this isn't what we know. This isn't how we've survived. This feels different, so it must be a threat. And what does it do? Pulls you back. Not with words, but with emotions. Subtle feelings of unease, restlessness, anxiety, or even guilt for feeling good. That's how addiction to failure works. It's not that you love failing. It's that you're neurologically attached to the feeling of familiar limitation. Let's go deeper. Neurons that fire together wire together. If your mind has been trained to associate stress with normality, success will feel foreign. If your identity is built around being the underdog, winning will feel unsafe. If your relationships were built on self-abandonment, authenticity will feel like a threat. This isn't dysfunction. It's conditioning. And conditioning can be rewritten, but only when it's seen. So how do you know if you're caught in the addiction to familiar failure? Look for these signs. You sabotage progress once it starts feeling real. You feel anxious when things go too well. You start arguments when peace becomes the norm. You downplay your wins so others feel comfortable. You distract yourself with meaningless tasks instead of doing the one thing that moves you forward. These are not personality flaws. They're identity protection strategies. Your mind is trying to keep you, even if the current version of you is exhausted, unfulfilled, and underexpressed. The real cost of success isn't money or time. It's identity, because to succeed, you must become someone who no longer resonates with failure as normal. That shift creates a psychological death, the death of the old self. And the ego resists that with everything it has. So the moment you start expanding, the familiar kicks in. The urge to isolate, the impulse to procrastinate, the craving for drama. Not because you enjoy these things, but because your nervous system is reaching for what it knows. This is the neurological comfort zone. And it has nothing to do with actual comfort. It has everything to do with emotional predictability. So what's the way out? Step 1. Recognize your identity triggers. Ask yourself, what parts of success feel unsafe to the current version of me? What emotional habits do I secretly crave when I'm overwhelmed? Not intellectually, emotionally. Step 2. Slow the pattern. Addiction to failure is not instant. It's a loop. But if you can interrupt that loop mid-pattern, you create a gap. A moment of choice. And in that moment, you have the power to choose a new response. One that honors your becoming instead of protecting your past. Step 3. Normalize success in small doses. Don't wait for massive transformation. Teach your system how to feel safe with micro-expansion. Celebrate small wins without downplaying them. Let yourself receive without apologizing. Let peace be your new normal, even if it feels strange. The more you do this, the more your system updates. It learns, this new way of being isn't dangerous. It's actually safer than the struggle. Your addiction to failure is not a flaw. It's an outdated defense. And you don't have to fight it. You just have to outgrow it. Next, we expose one of the biggest lies in self-improvement, the glorification of effort. And why trying harder is not only unhelpful, it may be your greatest obstacle. Let's start with this. Effort does not equal transformation. And in many cases, effort is the very thing blocking progress. We've been raised in a culture that glorifies effort. Push harder, grind longer, outwork everyone. There's honor in the hustle. There's pride in the pain. But here's what no one tells you. If your actions are not aligned with your internal frequency, no amount of effort will change the outcome. This is the trap of resistant action. It looks productive, feels disciplined, but it's energetically out of sync. It's action taken from fear, action taken to fix what's broken, action taken to escape shame, and that kind of effort creates more resistance, not results. So what's the alternative? It's not laziness. It's resonance. Aligned action. Action taken from clarity, from congruence, from trust. Let's break it down. Most people try to force growth by doing more. They say, if I just push harder, I'll break through. If I just work longer, I'll finally feel worthy. If I just achieve this one thing, then I'll be enough. But those actions are being fueled by lack, by anxiety, by urgency, and the energy behind the action becomes the outcome. So even if you succeed, it feels hollow, unstable, short-lived, because it was built on the vibration of pressure, not peace. So here's the truth. Trying harder doesn't fix a misaligned frequency. It amplifies it. It makes the resistance louder. Let's put this into practical terms. Resistant action sounds like, I have to do this or I'll fall behind. I should be doing more. I'm behind everyone else. If I don't hustle, I don't deserve the reward. Resonant action sounds like, this step feels aligned with who I'm becoming. I feel clear, even if the outcome is uncertain. This action expands me, not depletes me. Feel the difference. One is forced. One is fluid. One contracts your system. The other opens it. So how do you shift out of the illusion of effort? Step 1. Stop chasing results. Start tuning into state. Ask yourself, what's the emotional frequency behind my action? Is it fear? Is it pressure? Is it proving? Or is it clarity, calm, and coherence? Step 2. Start small with aligned action. Not because small is safe, but because small is potent. A single choice made in alignment creates more momentum than 100 forced actions taken in anxiety. Step 3. Rewrite your relationship with work. You don't have to suffer to grow. You don't have to burn out to deserve peace. The more you honor your energetic state, the more powerful your action becomes. This is not passivity. This is precision. This trusting that when your state is right, the strategy follows. It's understanding that doing less doesn't mean getting less. It means doing right. Trying harder is a cultural addiction, but alignment is a personal revolution. The old model says, more effort equals more worth. The new paradigm says, more truth equals more power. So the next time you feel stuck, don't double your effort. Double your awareness. Not what do I need to do, but who am I being while I do it? That question will unlock more transformation than any strategy. Next, we uncover the invisible loop of self-worth that determines how much good you unconsciously allow yourself to receive. Self-worth is not what you say you believe. It's what you allow yourself to receive. It's not in your affirmations. It's in your patterns. And more than anything, it's in your ceiling. Every person has an invisible ceiling of what feels emotionally acceptable. Not intellectually, emotionally. It's the subconscious limit of what you believe you're allowed to have, feel, or experience without self-sabotage, guilt, or fear. And this ceiling is not set by fate. It's built by repetition, by what you've seen, by what you've internalized, by what your nervous system has come to label as normal. Here's the paradox. You may want more. You may even believe more is possible. But unless you feel safe having more, your system will resist it. And it will do so in ways that appear logical. Busyness, distraction, procrastination, poor time management, people-pleasing. These aren't character flaws. They're emotional defense mechanisms. So the question isn't just, what do I want? It's, what do I feel safe having? What do I feel worthy of asterisk without needing to earn it through exhaustion, sacrifice, or pain? This is the self-concept loop, the silent system that decides how much love you accept, how much peace you allow, how much visibility you tolerate, how much joy you can sit with before finding a reason to sabotage it. Now let's expose how the loop is built. The self-concept loop is constructed in 3 stages. 1. Identity formation. You unconsciously accept messages from your environment, especially in early life. You're told who you are. You're rewarded or punished based on how you act. You absorb value judgments. You're smart when you achieve. You're lovable when you behave. You're too loud. You're too emotional. Each judgment builds a frame. 2. Emotional anchoring. These identity frames are tied to emotional states. So now your worth isn't just a thought, it's a feeling. And that feeling becomes a familiar home base. Could be guilt, could be pressure, could be invisibility. It becomes the default emotional vibration your nervous system seeks, not consciously, but habitually. 3. Behavioral enforcement. Over time, you unconsciously create or attract experiences that match your internal concept. If you think you don't deserve ease, you'll sabotage peace. If you feel you must earn love, you'll attract people who make you prove yourself. If you believe you're not meant to be fully seen, you'll find ways to dim or disappear when the spotlight arrives. And you'll call it just who I am. But it's not. It's who you were taught to be. So how do you break the loop? Step 1. Confront your receiving resistance. What kind of compliments make you uncomfortable? What kind of opportunities do you delay accepting? What kind of support do you push away? Your discomfort with receiving is your greatest diagnostic tool. It reveals where your self-worth ceiling is currently set. Step 2. Practice non-transactional worth. Do things that nourish you with no outcome attached. Speak well of yourself with no one listening. Show up for your needs without a productivity agenda. This rewires the association between value and output. You start experiencing yourself as worthy by being, not by doing. Step 3. Build tolerance for emotional expansion. Most people are not afraid of failure. They're afraid of sustained success. Because success brings visibility. It brings responsibility. It brings contrast from your old identity. And unless you feel safe having more, your nervous system will short-circuit the moment it arrives. So stretch it, not through force but through frequency. Spend time being the version of you who already has what you're reaching for. Sit with the emotion of it. Let it feel normal, safe, expected. This is how you change your baseline. Not by chasing harder, but by expanding what you believe is safe to receive. And when your concept of self rises, your life does too. Next, we explore a powerful truth that transforms your external reality. The outer world doesn't respond to what you wish for. It reflects who you are. Your life is a mirror, not of your thoughts, not of your words, but of your frequency. The energy you hold, the identity you embody, that's what shapes what you attract, what you notice, and what you respond to. This is not metaphor. It's mechanics. You are not separate from your reality. You are in continuous interaction with it, an exchange of signals, patterns, and feedback loops, and the most honest feedback you will ever receive is your current reality. It reflects not what you desire, but what you expect. Not what you hope for, but what you have emotionally normalized. Let's break this down. Every person walks through the world with a resonance. It's not mystical, it's measurable. That resonance is made of your beliefs, emotions, and identity state. It determines what you filter in and what you filter out. So two people can walk into the same situation and experience completely different realities. Not because of luck, but because of mirror resonance. If your core frequency is, "I'm always left out," you'll notice slights. You'll interpret neutrality as rejection. You'll unconsciously withdraw and then use the loneliness to confirm your belief. If your core frequency is, "People respect my voice," you'll feel safe speaking clearly. You'll notice supportive feedback. You'll reinforce your role as a valued contributor. This is the mirror effect, and it's operating constantly whether you're conscious of it or not. So let's be real. Wanting more doesn't change the mirror. Thinking positive doesn't change the mirror. Only changing your frequency of identity does. Because the mirror doesn't show you what you wish to see. It shows you what you broadcast. So how do you shift what the mirror reflects? Step 1. Stop arguing with the reflection. Trying to force the world to change while staying the same inside is like yelling at a mirror to smile first. It doesn't work. You have to be the change. Not pretend. Be. Step 2. Identify your dominant emotional climate. What emotional state do you spend the most time in? Not what you post online. Not what you affirm in the morning. What do you feel when no one's watching? That's what the mirror reflects. And that's what must shift. Step 3. Close the frequency gap. You want abundance? Start being the version of you who feels grounded, supported, and capable. Not someday. Now. You want love? Start feeling lovable. Not when someone arrives. Now. This isn't about faking it. It's about embodying it before it appears, because that's how mirrors work. You are not manifesting reality. You are reflecting it. You're seeing the echo of your internal frequency show up in physical form. And when the inner world shifts, the outer world has no choice but to follow. The mirror is not judging you. It's not punishing you. It's simply honest. And that honesty is power. Because when you take ownership of what's being reflected, you reclaim authorship. You stop chasing. You start becoming. And that's where transformation finally sticks. Next, we shine light on one of the most underestimated powers in the human experience, the words you whisper to yourself. You speak spells, not in some mystical sense, in a very real, measurable, neurological sense. Your internal language forms the blueprint of your identity, and the words you repeat, out loud or in your mind, become the architecture of your reality. Here's what most people don't realize. You're not describing your life with language. You're constructing it. You're not narrating reality. You're programming it. Each phrase you casually repeat becomes a command, a directive, a mental pattern, and if left unchecked, these patterns form the walls of your subconscious limitations. Let's get specific. Here are some of the most common hypnotic phrases people use without realizing their power. That's just how I am. I'm terrible with money. I always mess things up at the last minute. People like me don't get those kinds of opportunities. It's probably not going to work anyway. These may seem harmless, but they aren't just thoughts. They are reinforcing instructions that train the subconscious to deliver matching behavior. Here's how the mind works. The more a thought is repeated, especially with emotion, the more the brain treats it as a foundational truth. And the mind hates cognitive dissonance. So once a belief is installed, the mind will do everything it can to keep your actions, decisions, and perceptions consistent with that belief. So if your language keeps repeating limits, your reality will keep reflecting them, even if you're actively working to improve. This is why many people feel like they're walking in circles. They've changed their strategy, but not their self-language. They're taking action, but narrating failure the entire way, and that contradiction becomes a loop. Let's go deeper. Your inner voice doesn't need to be dramatic to be destructive. Can sound like logic, can wear the mask of humility, can dress itself in humor, but the frequency behind the words always reveals the truth. Self-deprecating jokes, disguised self-criticism, over-explaining your worth, disguised fear of being misunderstood, dismissing praise, disguised discomfort with being seen. Language is the interface between identity and experience. It's not just communication, it's calibration. You're teaching your nervous system what's true with every phrase you speak or think. So how do you shift the programming? Step 1. Build awareness of passive self-talk. Start paying attention to how you speak about yourself in ordinary conversation. Are you casually labeling yourself? Are you minimizing your gifts? Are you reinforcing a narrative of struggle or smallness without realizing it? Catch it, name it, expose it. Step 2. Replace autopilot speech with conscious command. Don't just stop saying the negative, start saying the aligned. But here's the key. Don't say what you want to believe. Say what you're willing to grow into. Instead of, I'm a disaster with money, try, I'm learning how to trust myself with money. Instead of, I'm always late, try, I'm becoming more dependable with my time. You don't need perfection. You need progression. And language is how you install it. Step 3. Create a new default narrative. Write a set of phrases that reflect the version of you you're choosing to become. Not affirmations you repeat robotically, but declarations that feel rooted in your next-level identity. Say them out loud. Say them often. Say them especially when your old language wants to take over. Because the moment of linguistic reprogramming is also a moment of identity shift. And make no mistake, this is not fluff. This is rewiring. Your brain responds to repetition. Your emotional state responds to phrasing. Your outcomes respond to the energy you encode in language. Words shape meaning. Meaning shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. So if your life feels stuck, check the sentences you've been repeating the most, because they're not just thoughts, they're instructions. Next, we expose the frequency lock that keeps you tuned into your old life and how to finally change the signal. You are not a static being. You are a frequency, a moving signal, a living broadcast of thoughts, emotions, expectations, and identity. And like any frequency, what you're tuned into determines what you hear, what you see, and what you attract. Think of it this way. If you're tuned to a radio station playing static, you can't hear the music, even if it's already being broadcast. That's what happens in life. The opportunity, the connection, the breakthrough, it's already out there. But if your internal signal is stuck in the past, you can't receive it. Not because it's missing, but because you're not in sync with it. This is the frequency lock. And most people are trapped inside it without knowing. They've done the work. They've read the books. They've set the goals. But their emotional signal is still tuned to who they used to be, not who they're becoming. So the same patterns keep showing up. The same frustrations. The same doubts. Because the station hasn't changed. Let's define it more clearly. Your personal frequency is made up of 3 components. 1. Emotional home base, the dominant emotion you live in day to day. Not the one you project, the one you actually feel. 2. Belief vibration, the deep expectations you hold about what life is and what's possible for you. These are not conscious preferences, they're unconscious assumptions. 3. Identity echo, the self you keep reactivating through story, memory, and behavior. The more you revisit the past emotionally, the more you keep tuning into the same old signal. So here's the key insight. Your reality doesn't need to change first. Your frequency does. And when it does, you start receiving information, opportunities, and clarity from a higher bandwidth. Not because they appeared, but because you finally tuned in. Let's bring this down to practice. Step 1. Identify your current station. Ask yourself, what emotions dominate my internal world most days? What beliefs am I assuming without challenge? What stories am I rehearsing? Even when I say I want to move forward, this isn't about blame. It's about signal detection. Step 2. Choose a new frequency before the external changes. You must start being the future self now, not after everything aligns. That means choosing confidence in uncertainty, calm in chaos, value even without external validation. Not because it's easy, but because that's how you retune the signal. Step 3. Reinforce through embodiment. Frequency isn't just thought, it's action. What does your future self do that your old self avoids? Do that, speak that, move like that, behave from that signal, and repetition locks it in. You don't wait to feel ready. You generate readiness by shifting frequency. You don't wait to be chosen. You broadcast worth and alignment until the outer world reflects it back. Here's the truth. The life you want is not hiding. It's broadcasting. You just need to match it. Not in thought, in signal. And once you do, you'll stop chasing the future. You'll start syncing with it. Naturally, effortlessly, invisibly. Because everything you seek is already on the right frequency. It's time to tune in. Next, we reveal a powerful truth. Most people think they're manifesting their dreams, but what they're really doing is recreating their memories. There's a silent glitch in how most people approach manifestation. They think they're creating a new life, but they're actually recycling an old one. They think they're building a future, but what they're really doing is repeating a coded memory loop. Here's the root of the problem. Most people don't manifest from vision, they manifest from familiarity, from their emotional history, from their past-based identity, from internal blueprints shaped by memory, not possibility. Let's break it down. Manifestation isn't just about desire, it's about identity resonance. And your identity is a composition of emotionally charged memories. These memories act like internal reference points. They inform your expectations. They calibrate your sense of normal. And they silently dictate what you believe is realistic, deserved, or even safe. So you visualize a new income level, but your nervous system remembers scarcity. You affirm your soulmate, but your body recalls betrayal. You script your dream business, but your inner voice still echoes failure. And without realizing it, those unconscious memories become the true signal being broadcast. That's why it's possible to have a clear vision and still stay stuck. Because vision alone doesn't shift reality. The emotional coding behind the vision does. This is the paradox most people miss. They're consciously projecting into the future while emotionally anchoring in the past. And manifestation doesn't respond to projection, it responds to alignment. So what does it mean to manifest from memory? It means using old emotional patterns to define what's possible. It means filtering every new opportunity through the lens of what has already happened. It means assuming the future must resemble the past, simply because the past is familiar. This is not logic. It's emotional inertia, the pull of what's known. And until that inertia is interrupted, the future becomes nothing more than a modified repeat of yesterday. Let's be very clear. You are not your memories. You are the awareness that carries them. And that means you have the power to change the blueprint, not by erasing the past, but by rewriting the meaning you've given it. So how do you start manifesting from vision, not memory? Step 1. Catch the loop. Start observing your memory filters. These are mental habits like, "It's always been like this. That never worked before. Last time I tried that, I failed." Each of these phrases signals a memory-based manifestation pattern. It means your mind is reaching backwards for proof, instead of forwards for possibility. Step 2. Bring emotional closure to old imprints. This doesn't mean reliving trauma. It means recognizing that the emotional charge from past events is still informing your current vibration. Ask yourself, what emotional residue am I still carrying? What story from my past do I keep rehearsing? Even when I say I've moved on, then do the work of presence. Feel the emotion, give it space, and allow it to move rather than calcify into identity. Step 3. Generate a new reference point now. Your future isn't built on fantasy. It's built on evidence. And if you don't have evidence yet, you create it. How? By taking even the smallest action that embodies the future version of you. You don't need results. You need alignment, a new reference point, a lived experience, even if micro, that says, yes, this version of me can exist. And once your system feels that, it starts to shift. You stop living as a reaction to the past. You start living as a demonstration of the future. That's real manifestation. It's not about wishing. It's about reprogramming the signal you're sending through state, choice, and identity. Most people look at their past as proof of who they are. But your past isn't proof. It's practice. And you're allowed to stop practicing what no longer reflects your becoming. So the next time you catch yourself doubting what's possible, ask, is this doubt coming from vision? Or is it just an echo of a memory I haven't reprogrammed yet? That question shifts everything. Next, we unpack a misunderstood idea, the law of attraction, and reveal a version of it that's more powerful, more precise, and rooted in how energy really works. The law of attraction has been simplified, misunderstood, and misapplied. For many, it's become a surface-level concept. Think positively, visualize success, feel good, and good things will come. But here's the truth. The real law of attraction doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. It mirrors not your wish list, but your energetic identity. And once you understand that, the whole game changes. Let's expose what this really means. You don't attract what you fantasize about. You attract what you emotionally integrate, what you believe you're connected to, what you're available for, energetically. Most people try to manipulate the outer world with inner thoughts. They treat attraction like a vending machine. Insert desire, receive outcome. But the real mechanism isn't desire-based. It's resonance-based, and resonance requires full coherence. Coherence means your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, nervous system, and identity are in alignment. Without that coherence, your attraction signal is fractured. And a fractured signal leads to chaotic, inconsistent results. Let's make this practical. You say, I want financial abundance. But your inner narrative says, money never lasts. Your body feels anxious when you receive it. You undercharge or overgive. That's incoherence. And incoherence cancels the signal. So what's the real formula? Resonance over desire, coherence over control, embodiment over wishful thinking. This doesn't mean desire is wrong. Desire is the spark. It shows you what's possible. But it must be backed by emotional congruence. Your nervous system must feel safe having the thing you're asking for. Your belief system must agree that it's real and available. Your actions must reflect the identity of someone who already lives in that frequency. That's the real attraction formula. State plus identity plus action equals magnetic field. So how do you move into coherence? Step 1. Build emotional resonance with the outcome. Not in theory, in frequency. Don't just visualize the thing. Practice feeling the version of you who already has it. Not just seeing it, being it. Even for a few minutes a day. That energetic alignment is more potent than hours of surface-level affirmations. Step 2. Close the gap between your current identity and your desired outcome. That means becoming incompatible with contradiction. You can't say, I am abundance, and keep entertaining lack. You can't claim love and keep rehearsing rejection. You can't radiate magnetism while shrinking in the face of your own power. Your life reflects what your system believes, not what your mouth says. Step 3. Let the results go. Coherence doesn't cling. It trusts. Because when you're resonating with the right frequency, you don't need proof. You are the proof. You're already living from the frequency. So when the result shows up, it's a match, not a miracle. This is the most misunderstood part. The law of attraction isn't about pulling something in. It's about activating the version of you that matches what you already want, and then letting reality organize itself around that identity. You don't force attraction. You become it, and that becoming is what shifts timelines. So stop trying to outthink the universe. Start aligning your identity, your actions, and your emotional state with what you say you want. And then trust the coherence to do the work. Next, we bring everything together with a powerful 3-step reset to rewrite your internal code, and finally unlock the transformation that lasts. Everything you've heard until now has pointed to a single truth. You are not broken. Your mind is not working against you. You are not failing at self-improvement. You are operating under a code, one that was installed, repeated, and reinforced over time. But here's the breakthrough. That code is not permanent. The patterns you've inherited can be rewritten. The identity you've carried can be upgraded. And the emotional defaults you've normalized can be replaced with new internal instructions. You are not bound by your history. You are bound only by your repetition. Change the repetition and you change the reality. But this isn't about random motivation or hype. It's about conscious reprogramming. Because now you've seen the mechanisms. You've traced the filters. You've exposed the loops. And now it's time to reset them deliberately. There are 3 essential moves to rewrite the hidden mind code. Reveal, replace, reinforce. Each one is non-negotiable. Each one must be done with clarity, focus, and presence. So let's walk through it with full awareness. Step 1. Reveal, expose the unconscious command. The first step is not to affirm a new belief. The first step is to identify the active code that's still running the show. This means naming the unconscious program that has been shaping your limits. Not in vague, abstract terms, but in specific, functional language. Ask yourself, what rule do I seem to be obeying without question? Could sound like, I must work hard to prove my worth. Peace never lasts, so don't relax. If I shine, I'll lose connection. If I speak my truth, I'll be abandoned. Write it out. No sugarcoating. No spiritual bypass. Just brutal honesty. Because the moment it's named, it's no longer invisible. Don't try to fix it yet. Sit with it. Look at the rule. Feel the emotional contract behind it. That contract was signed at a moment of pain, or fear, or survival. And it's been carried forward, long past its expiration date. This step matters more than people realize. You can't change a belief that hasn't been fully revealed. Otherwise, you're building on top of a buried distortion. So take time here, not to judge but to observe, with neutrality, with awareness, with full presence. Now that the old code is exposed, we move to the next move. Step 2. Replace. Choose the new identity instruction. You don't erase old programming by force. You overwrite it. You install a new directive, a new instruction that aligns with who you're becoming. But here's the key. This new instruction must feel true enough for your system to begin accepting it. Not perfect, not fully believable, just accessible. So if your old rule is, I'm only valuable when I overachieve, you don't replace it with, I'm a billionaire genius. Unless your body believes that's possible. You replace it with, my value is not earned through exhaustion. My presence is enough. If your old rule is, it's not safe to be seen, you replace it with, I'm safe in my authenticity, even if it feels unfamiliar. Feel into these new statements. They are not mantras. They are instructions. Your job is not to recite them. Your job is to become the person who lives by them. So ask, what does this new code require me to believe? What does it require me to stop doing? What behavior would instantly align me with this upgraded instruction? That's the difference between passive change and true recoding. You're not just shifting beliefs, you're shifting embodiment. And that leads directly into the final move. Step 3, reinforce, lock in the upgrade through frequency. Reprogramming doesn't happen through information. It happens through repetition, through pattern interruption, through new emotional experience. Your subconscious speaks in feeling, not theory. So the final step is to build the emotional muscle of this new code until it becomes the default signal. How? Start living from it now. Not later. Not after you have proof. Now, that means thinking, acting, and speaking from the place of your new identity, even when your environment hasn't caught up yet. You create new reference points. You normalize the new frequency. You stop performing your old self for the comfort of others. And you track your nervous system, because the moment you step outside your old code, resistance will rise. Not as failure, as feedback. It's your system adjusting to a new baseline. So breathe into the discomfort. Welcome it. It means the recoding is working. Reinforcement is not one grand gesture. It's the daily micro-decisions. Saying no when you used to overextend. Speaking your needs before you're asked. Choosing rest without guilt. Feeling joy without waiting for permission. Each of these is a brick in the new internal structure. Each one strengthens the new broadcast. And most importantly, you forgive the old self. You don't need to shame the outdated code. You thank it, because it got you here, protected you, it helped you adapt. But it's no longer your guide, and you're allowed to outgrow it without resentment. When all three moves are practiced together, something begins to shift. It's not immediate, but it is irreversible. You begin responding differently, perceiving differently, moving through life with a frequency that no longer negotiates your worth. And the external world, as it always does, catches up. Not because it changed on its own, but because your code changed first. This is the real work. Not chasing motivation, not chasing goals, but becoming the version of you for whom those goals are simply a reflection of internal truth. Reveal the old program. Replace it with aligned identity. Reinforce it through frequency, emotion, and action. That is how you reset the hidden code. That is how you unlock lasting transformation. And that is how you stop surviving your patterns. And start creating your reality with power, with precision, and with peace.